Hi y'all, so just letting y'all know, this is like the first video I've ever filmed like with a voiceover or anything, and it's kind of awkward in some parts, and also the video kind of like glitched out a couple times, so please don't mind that too much, and I hope y'all enjoy. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna be showing y'all my process, how I draw faces and like kind of heads and whatever, along with a few things that I keep in mind when doing so, okay? So here are a few like features in specific that are fairly important to me and that I use sort of like as guides when drawing the face. Yeah, so let's start. Number one, I'm not a big circle person. I usually just go in with a big old wedge, kind of. I don't know, I just find it easier for me personally. Another thing that I always keep in mind when drawing faces, in my style especially, is I try to make these points like not taper too much. Like from here to here, I don't want to taper too much because after some point, it kind of starts looking pretty anime-ish and get this big old egghead, and that's not what I'm going for. Okay. I like making my necks a little thicker, a little more realistic, and the ear. I'm going to talk about the ear in a second, okay? After this, I usually like to go in with the eyebrows first, with the brows, okay? And then after that, I will go in with the nose bridge. The nose connects everything in the face. It's like the most important part, okay? Let's just do a straight nose, you know, something simple. For noses, I like to usually stop at around this point right here, okay? Something that really helps me is to really define the nose bridge. So just going with the good old swoop. And then you can usually find the nostril afterwards. Usually after this point, I will draw in the eyes. I recommend like doing a rectangle type because it's a lot easier to like squish down, and then you can go in later. And now for mouths. I'm so bad at drawing mouths, actually. I always have to do them like 12 times. So I'm just going to do something simple here. The reason why the nose and the nose bridge in particular is so important is because it really brings like dimension to the face. So like, you know, your cheek connects here and everything just kind of connects, you know? So I really like thinking about the face in a more 3D plane when drawing it. If you're looking to study anatomy, I recommend getting a sculptor's anatomy book. Those are really, really good at allowing you to visualize form. Next up, we're gonna do some guidelines and certain guidelines that I use to like gauge if I'm doing it right. Okay, so general rule of thumb, your head is going to be in a certain position, right? You're gonna have a line. All right, this is your guideline. Now, everything else is going to generally line up with this. Everything is going to line up. All right? Now, I'm very adamant. Well, I haven't really talked about this, but it is true. I'm quite adamant on people not studying my work in particular because I make a plethora of mistakes all the time. I make so many freaking mistakes, dude. So, if you were thinking of studying my work, don't do that. Go study a professional artist. Go get a better source because I can only get 2 images for this because of how many mistakes I constantly make, you know? And yeah, so while we're here, I'm going to do this same like sort of practice study on some reference images. Now, this is a great exercise. Learning how to break things down and simplify them will help you a ton in the long run, okay? So yeah, here, again, you have the wedge. I've always been a fan of like using more angular lines, especially when learning. And so here we have, you know, it's just about all parallel to each other. Wow, isn't that crazy? Amazing. So I've always been a fan of using angular lines instead of like more curved lines because I feel like it helps you break things down into simpler shapes, into something more geometric rather than organic. And for beginners, that really helps so that you can get a hand on form. It's always better to simplify before making it more complex. You have to understand what you're drawing, you know? You catch the drift. And so yeah, now we're gonna go in with a different color, new yellow, so it stands out, and we're gonna highlight all the connecting points. So here's the nose bridge, goes all the way down here. Oh my gosh, I hate that. Cheek goes to the nostril. This goes all the way over there. And there's your brow bone. It's incredible. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. Now, here we have a front-facing view. I chose this picture because he has a very defined features, I believe. So once again, ignore the hair. And what you might notice is that realistic faces, if they do taper outwards, they will always taper back in a little bit, you know? So again, if you're not looking for anime head, just like pay attention to that, you know? And ears. Oh, right, ears. Ears typically are always set like by the brows or above the eyes and then around the end of the nose. And right here, just about. Oh wait, that might be a bit different because of the perspective, it might be different. But they will always line up. These ones are a bit high. That's a mistake. These ones are a bit high as well. That's a mistake. Don't study my work, please. Do not do that. Yeah. So, you know, everything is pretty much symmetrical. Or no, parallel. Now we're going to go back in with the yellow. Once again, brows, nose bridge, nose, cheeks to nostrils. cheekbones to lower lip, and brow bones. Yes! And this can apply to most, if not all, facial features, because it is human anatomy that I'm highlighting. I like highlighting anatomy. Oh my lord. Yeah, so once again, you got the wedge shape, the lemon, and this guy, I put this guy in particular because you can really tell the line, like it really does line up almost perfectly, and then this, since it is curved, it lines up anyway. Wow. So going with yellow again, brow, nose bridge, nose, lower lip to cheekbone, and then cheek to nostril, and brow bone. Wonderful. This is me clapping. Okay. So, yeah, I'll probably speed through this real quick, just because we've already done it. So, any head shape, wedge it. Boom, boom, boom. Brows to nose bridge, to nostrils. Bam, boom shakalaka. And this beautiful woman, now she's smiling. This is a bit more difficult, because you have to start understanding what muscles move behind. Just assume her ears are like there. You have to start understanding what muscles move underneath the face. Personally, when I portray expressions, I like to, since I do line art, I like to minimize the wrinkles, because then it starts looking kind of freaky. So instead of doing all this, with all this, it's not something I personally do in my style. I think it looks great in certain styles, not exactly what I like to do. I would probably just her nose bridge is a bit thicker, and that's okay. I would probably just highlight the nostrils a bit more and just add these little dashes, and then maybe kind of like that. And so now once you look away, I'm hoping it looks good. Yeah. See? It still has the same expression. It's just a bit more simplified. Okay, so those are the studies of real people. You can also study professional artists such as the man himself. So let's look at this wonderful and beautiful artwork. Okay, wedge it, number one. It's a lot easier to wedge work that is already either simplified or stylized. Jeez. So again, might be a bit different since it is stylized work. So, just gotta find the general, the general shape. And then you can go in again, brows, down. As you can see, here's the freaking shadow that defines these two portions of the face. And Araki really highlighted the brow bones in part 7. So those are pretty damn obvious. And then, boing. Wonderful! Then we have doodles. Now you are right. I like looking at Araki's doodles in particular because it highlights the most important and essential aspects of whatever form he was trying to convey, which is basically just he simplifies it because it's a doodle, it's quick. But as you can see, it still looks good. Probably because he's been drawing for 60 years. Damn! And so yeah, once again, boom, straight. Over here, wedge it, boom, straight. He keeps the facial structures consistent, which in turn makes them look good, even though they are just little doodles. Everything lines up. Everything is mathematically correct. At least enough to make it look good. Period. And, okay, you can also dissect Araki himself. So you can wedge him. So I'm wedging him. Boom. Wedged. Eyebrows connect to... Bam. Bam. He's smiling in this picture, so it's not as clear for his cheekbones. But there he is. Wow. Isn't that great? Okay, now we're going to move on. So the best part about learning art rules is breaking them, because then you can make fun stuff like this. And if it looks like shit, you know how to fix it, okay? The point is to not be lost in what you're doing, okay? I think art rules, quotations, are really stupid because art is an expression of the self. So for that reason, I think it's important for artists to mess around, and just do weird stuff. More about me. How do I shade my faces? So when you have an art style, you usually exaggerate certain parts of whatever you're drawing because you like them. So I'm going to show y'all what parts I like to exaggerate. As always, we are taking the points that I highlighted before, and I'm just going to shade them. So yeah, I usually shade in the cheek area, the inner cheek, whatever. I shade the brow bones. I like using sharp gradients. So a gradient with a sharp edge. My favorite, I like shading in the eyelid. If the character has them. Some characters don't have very defined eyelids. And then I like shading in the nose bridge up into the forehead. Why? Because I think it looks cool. I will also shade in the forehead to give it a bit more dimension. Then I'll shade in the lower lip. I like shading in the lower lip fat. I don't remember what it's called. Then I'll shade that into the cheekbone. Usually shade the chin in a little bit. Shade under the nose a tiny bit. And then the upper lip, if it calls for it. There it is. Then I will go in with a lighter color. And I will do some highlights to just increase contrast. So I'll highlight underneath the eyelids. I'll highlight the brow bones. Because I love me a good brow bone. I love me a good brow bone. I will highlight under here a little bit too. Just a tad to really bring that contrast. I will highlight cheekbones as well. Because there's kind of like a square here. And maybe the forehead. And I like highlighting the outer lip and the cupid's bow. Cute! Wow. And yeah, I will also go in with a shade below, if you would call it that. And just kind of give a little pop of color. You know, a little cute. Boing. And yeah, I will also just a few little highlights here and there. And that's how I shade faces. That's my personal stylistic choice and why. I literally just like those parts of the face. Now, how do you make your faces more interesting and personalized? So there's a lot of ways you can go about this. You can do different brow shapes. You should get a different pen. Different brow shapes. You can make the brows thicker. You know, you can make them a bit more square or boxy. As for eyes, a very simple way to make your eyes look more different is to change the eyelid. So for example, let's do a droopy eyelid. One that droops over the eye, just like that. You could also hide away the inner eye corners of the eye under an eyelid. I forget what that's called. I'm so sorry. You could also give them eye bags. As for the nose, you can change up the nose bridge. I would suggest looking at references, maybe studying them if you want to just get yourself used to more diverse facial features and learn how to draw them, okay? Lips, you can take away the cupid's bow, make them a little thicker. Boom. You can also give them a butt chin. You can give them a sharp chin or a flat chin or a butt chin. You can give them facial hair. Basically, there's a lot of ways you can go about it. See, now those are two different characters now. Those are two different characters. Another way, again, with the chin shape, you can make it stick out more. You could also make it stick in less. You know, give them an underdeveloped jaw. I think that's so cute, actually. I'm being so for real when I think it's the cutest thing in the world. Let's do something else. Let's do a different eye shape entirely. Let's do a droopy eye. You know, start from scratch. This is not going to be symmetrical at all. You can even make them have no eyelids or visible eyelids. See how balls that looks? Amazing. Amazing. Another way you can make your characters more diverse is to give them more human features, such as skin details. It could be a tattoo, it could be acne, freckles, moles, it could be a scar. Let's give this guy a big old scar. Boom. Boom. Give them eye bags or shade in their under eyes. Give them different eyebrows. Wow. You can give them a wider nose. Don't leave the nose entirely. You can make the nose higher up. You know, just get creative with it. For more flat nose bridges, what I like to do is I like to taper it in and then taper it back out. Kind of looks like balls, but that is okay. Different lip shapes. You know, can give him not as sharp of a face too. Make him a little rounder. Yeah. Boom, that's a different character. Incredible, truly. And now, one last thing. When it comes to nose bridges, you can get real creative. Hooked nose. You can really do whatever you want. And yeah, that's kind of how I draw faces. Thank you for watching. Bye. Yeah, and one last thing, if y'all want another video or another tutorial, or y'all have any more questions, feel free to let me know and I'll think about it, because this video took an ungodly amount of time to put together.